Hello and welcome. Today we've got a really incredible story for you. It's a story of resilience, of resourcefulness, and honestly of amazing style, all unfolding on the brink of World War II. And it's all centered on one woman, Gretchen Prochnik. So to get us started, I want you to think about this question. What would you do if the country you represent, your home, your entire identity, just vanished, literally overnight? It sounds like something out of a movie, right? But for one family, this was their sudden, terrifying new reality. For Gretchen Prochnik, who was the wife of Austria's top diplomat in America, the answer was to take a personal passion, a hobby she'd had for years, and turn it into the very thing that would save her entire family. But to really get the scale of this transformation, you have to understand what their life was like before the crisis hit. So let's start there with part one, Washington's diplomatic star. Okay, so picture this. It's the 1920s and 30s, and Gretchen Prochnik is a total celebrity in Washington, D.C. The national press is following her every move, and as you can see from this quote, she was seen as a major trendsetter, a true fashion icon. And their life, it was something else. We're talking about huge, lavish parties, a stunning home on Embassy Row, summers at fancy beach resorts. It was a life of absolute comfort, incredible influence, and total security for them and their 4 kids. So what was her secret? Where did this incredible style come from? Well, this quote right here reveals everything. She wasn't just buying expensive clothes. She was an amazing designer herself, something she'd actually studied when she was younger. She told a reporter she made all her own outfits, and her daughters too, just because she loved doing it. You know, a journalist back then made this offhand comment that is just chilling looking back. They noted that if Gretchen ever had too much time on her hands, maybe she'd go back to her old hobby of designing clothes. They had no idea how tragically true that would become, because that perfect, idyllic life was about to come to a sudden, catastrophic end. And that brings us to part 2, when a nation vanished. So what happened? Well, the historical trigger was the Anschluss. On March 12, 1938, Nazi Germany just rolled in and annexed Austria, essentially wiping the country right off the map. Gretchen's husband, Edgar, as the Austrian minister, was ordered to raise the swastika over their building. He refused. He resigned on the spot. And with that single, principled decision, everything was gone. His country, his career, his home, his family's entire financial security vanished. This quote, wow, it just perfectly captures the shock of that moment. A newspaper reported on the Nazi flag flying over the legation of a nation which by Monday had ceased to exist. The Prochniks went from being honored guests to stateless refugees, all in the blink of an eye. So what do you do? What do you do when your whole world just collapses around you? This brings us to the most crucial part of their story, part 3, from gowns to business. Just look at this contrast. Before, Gretchen was a celebrated diplomatic hostess living in a gorgeous home. After, she was the main provider for her family, living in a small, leased property. She went from being this high society figure to an entrepreneur fighting for her family's survival, literally overnight. So how did she pull it off? It's almost like a masterclass in crisis management. First, she used her reputation for style. Everyone already knew her for it. Second, she activated her skills, turning that beloved hobby into a real profession. Third, she started with her network, making clothes for her society friends. And fourth, she became the rock, the stabilizing force that provided the income that kept her family going. But you have to understand, this wasn't just a cold business move. As her granddaughter explains here, this was an act of love. She took something she enjoyed, something she was good at, and used it as a way to take care of the people she loved most in the world. And that one act of resilience, it didn't just save them in the moment. It echoed through her family for generations, creating this incredible legacy of resilience. Now, her husband Edgar did manage to find work. He got a teaching job at Georgetown. But make no mistake, it was Gretchen's business, the one she built from her hobby, that was the primary income. That's what really carried them through those incredibly dark times. And you can just see how that spirit of duty was passed down. When America entered World War II, their kids didn't hesitate. They enlisted, they served, they dedicated themselves to the war effort, using the unique perspective their parents gave them to serve their new country. And Gretchen herself, she lived to be 92. Think about that. She outlived her husband by 20 years and left behind this huge, thriving family, a powerful testament to the life she rebuilt, quite literally, from the ground up. And that really brings us to the final thought here. Gretchen's story is so much more than just a piece of history. It's a powerful lesson. It forces us to look in the mirror and ask ourselves, when my world gets turned upside down, what hidden skills, what overlooked hobbies can I rely on to build a new future?